Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Switch Statement Podcast. It's a podcast for investigations into miscellaneous tech topics.
This is our 9th episode on Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson. We'd love to hear from you. Send your comments and feedback to team@thkp.co.
Hey, John. How's it going?
Hello, Matt. It's going really well. How are you doing?
I am, let me just see. Okay, felt like my levels were like low, but I guess lower is better than higher. Anyway.
I never know. Yeah, my waveform in Audacity is not the most attractive.
I know, it's like kind of atrophied, I would say. Or it's like kind of
very anemic.
Yeah, anemic. Anemic is the perfect word.
Yeah, lacking vigor.
Yeah, but anyway, you know what was lacking vigor? Was Tesla's production lines.
Wow, what a segue. Yeah.
No, but actually I skipped over some shit. So
you
anyway,
did. What had vigor was Tesla's cousins, who were starting a solar company called
They were
Solar
almost
City.
too vigorous.
Way too vigorous. Like. Yeah. They need to, when you're around Tesla, you have to be demure.
Well, it sounds like they were like being like shitty knife salesmen, door-to-door knife salesmen. So,
but yeah, they started this
what's
company.
What's going on here? Yeah.
Yeah, Musk's cousins start this company called Solar City. And Tesla, supposedly Musk thought of Tesla as an energy innovation company. You know, one of the reasons they're making electric cars in the first place is because they care about the world and it continuing to exist. So they're trying to help transition humanity off of this petroleum-based, world-killing energy system.
Right.
So Solar City quickly sort of becomes part of Tesla in Musk's mind. So he buys it. He convinces the Tesla board to buy it.
This is what's so funny is like his solution is always just, I need more control over this situation.
Yeah.
Like I just, I can't have anyone ever, who can ever make an autonomous decision aside from me.
Right.
Because he's telling them what they should be doing, and they're not really listening to them, or they're not really listening to him. And then eventually he's like, "All right, I'm going to buy this." And he gets sued by Tesla, like part of the Tesla board, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because it seems, at least on the face of it, it seems like some clear nepotism.
Yeah.
Like. So anyway, I don't know. I guess seems somewhat shady, but he does sort of turn this into an interesting Tesla thing. Like I vaguely recall this. They launched this tile roof system.
Yeah.
So that you could basically, put these tiles on your roof and then have this like thing in your garage that would charge your car. And it was sort of this like holistic system, which
frankly, that makes a lot more sense to me than them making a robot, I guess. Yeah. Tesla, he was all about like wireless energy and electricity. And it's like, okay, let's electrify everything. So in that vein, I think a solar roof makes a bunch of sense. But, as compared to, what is it called? Optimus?
That's the robot?
I think that's the robot.
I think that's the robot.
The name wrong.
I think you're
but
right,
anyway.
Optimus Prime. But yeah, so and in the course of, trying to get to these tile roofs, he once again has to, innovate in the space because a lot of solar roofs were kind of ugly looking in his opinion. In fact, I guess he fired yet another engineer for liking metal roofs. Like there's a point where, and I read this so long ago that I'm kind of forgetting the details, but they were like, which roof is better? And one was the one that Musk liked, and it was like these plasticky looking black tiles. And the other one was like a, metal solar roof, the kind that used to be more common. And one of the engineers liked the metal one, so Musk fired him.
Yeah, well, Musk was like, this looks like shit. And then the engineer's like, oh, I don't know, it doesn't seem that bad. And then he's like, you're fired, and get out of my sight.
So Musk is an asshole.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like, it's starting to feel a little bit repetitive, where it's like...
Yeah, it's funny because it's like a death by 50,000 cuts. Like, I think any one of these, and this is sort of, I think, probably a lot of people's personal experience with Musk, where they liked him, and then he did one thing that was sort of like, it's like, I can get over that. But then he did another thing, then he does another thing. And it's like he just keeps doing these things that make you realize, like, okay, he's an asshole. That's sort of how it goes. But anyway, speaking of him being an asshole, and speaking of the Musk family, having all this internal strife, his cousins left the company. So they started Solar City, Musk bought it, and then his cousins left it.
Yeah. But so after Solar City, or maybe kind of concurrent with it, he has this idea, his traffic is too bad. He's not going to tolerate it anymore. This is his next enormous humanity scale challenge that he's going to take on. So he's going to dig a bunch of holes, make some big ass holes with the Boring Company.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this is his solution to traffic, is building these holes. But he decides to build a hole. He buys two of these $5 million tunneling machines.
Yeah.
And I guess they're only able to tunnel 1.7 miles.
Yeah.
Which is really not that much. I mean, that's obviously not going to solve
this is
any
going to
traffic.
change everything. He rides in the 1.7 mile tunnel. He's like, this is going to change the world.
Does this tunnel still exist, by the way?
It hasn't. I mean, it must, right? Like, because presumably they wouldn't pay the money to like fill the tunnel, but I don't know. I think they said because it does transport riders in Teslas from the airport to the convention center. So I think there is like this very short but technically useful route that people can go through.
Okay, so it does serve a purpose, I guess. And maybe it's in a very congested area, so 1.7 miles.
Well, frankly, it's funny because it's not a technological problem. It's a NIMBYism problem. Like, that has always been, all of this California rail system, that famous debacle where they've been spending billions and billions and billions of dollars to make high-speed rail from Los Angeles to San Francisco. Like, it's not because they don't technologically know how to do that. It's because there's a bunch of cities along the way who are like, get the fuck out of here. I don't, or you have to bribe the mayor of some random side town and make the train go through that one so that you can get the mayor's approval.
Yeah, exactly. So it's too hard to accomplish something like this in the modern era of the United States. This chapter also talks a lot about the Hyperloop, which was sort of this, and I don't know, does anyone really fully understand the Hyperloop? What is it, like a magnetic rail system?
I think it was supposed to be in like an evacuated chamber, basically.
Yeah.
Where it was maglev, but it was also, there was no air resistance. Yeah.
So, his dream was, have this crazy transit system where you have trains moving at hundreds of miles an hour, sort of like the Japanese, the actual trains that do exist
the bullet
in Japan.
Trains.
Right. The bullet train. But, I mean, this Hyperloop thing, it was just a bunch of hype.
Yeah, I mean, even Elon seems to know that because he doesn't decide. He decides not to build a business around it. So,
yeah, exactly. So we move on. This is a period, I guess, where Elon is doing a lot of different things. The beginning of this next chapter was hilarious. This chapter is called Rocky Relationships, and it's, the main thrust of it is it's discussing Amber Heard, who I guess Elon shacked up with Amber Heard. I didn't even remember this. I was like, what? But the chapter starts with this private meeting he had with Donald Trump. This is in 2016, so basically right at the beginning of Trump's first term in office. And Elon goes in thinking, like, oh yeah, I've heard Trump say a lot of crazy stuff on the campaign trail, but, a lot of people say crazy stuff on the campaign trail. I'm sure he's like a reasonable guy who's just gonna, be a cool president. But Elon is quickly like, what the hell is happening? Like, he just has the weirdest meeting with Trump where Trump keeps repeating that he wants to restart NASA. And Elon's like, okay, cool. Let's send people to Mars. And Trump's like, let's restart NASA. And it just sounds like the most insane meeting. And then afterwards, Trump goes on the news and he gives this monologue about like protecting our geniuses.
Yeah.
Like he mentions Thomas Edison and, how we need to make sure these beautiful minds are safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just sounded like this completely insane, very like emblematic of the fever dream that we're all living in as Americans.
God. Yeah. Well, it's funny because at this point, I feel like Elon kind of has a similar, if not maybe more positive assessment of Trump than a typical person. But like, yeah, Trump is crazy over there. And then who knows? I mean, I'm curious to see how once we get to the part where he really goes all in. But we hear that when Trump pulls out of the Paris Accord, Elon kind of was like, I'm out of here. Like he was on, I guess, certain presidential councils, and then he resigned from all those because at that point, at least, he was still like, I don't know, he had some sort of principle there.
Yeah, some deep principle that was eventually lost. But yeah, like I said, the rest of this chapter was about Amber Heard mostly. I guess he shacked up with Amber Heard. She was dressed like Mercy, who I don't know who Mercy is. It's like a video game character.
Oh yeah.
And he just couldn't resist. This is right after the famous Johnny Depp divorce. Kimball immediately can tell Amber Heard is toxic. But as always, Kimball, the voice of reason, utterly ignored.
Kimball described her as being like the Joker in Batman. She didn't have a goal or aim other than chaos. I just thought that was so. I mean, I've never really met anyone like that, luckily, because that's kind of the opposite. That I would just hate that so much. I really thrive in structure.
No, me too.
But,
a personality like that, I think, would be terrifying to me because I need things to have reasons. I need things to like be rational.
Right. But there was this very funny quote that apparently she still has positive feelings about the relationship and about him. She said, "Elon loves fire, and sometimes it burns him." Like he's drawn to these like chaotic agents in his personal relationships.
Yeah. He says, "I'm often a fool, especially for love." So he might agree with that fire sentiment. And speaking of, the chapter ends with this anecdote, which I think is, there's this theme in Elon's life where this cycle of abuse and sort of this cycle of bad, behavior amongst family members. And so the chapter ends with this anecdote about his father getting Jana. Is that how you pronounce that name?
That sounds right to me.
So Jana was Errol's daughter-in-law, right? Or stepdaughter.
Stepdaughter?
Yeah, stepdaughter. Is a daughter-in-law a thing? But stepdaughter. So he married a woman who...
Wouldn't a daughter-in-law be the wife of one of your sons?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's what that would be. So this is a stepdaughter. So he married a woman who had this daughter from a separate marriage.
Right. And then got her pregnant.
Exactly. Sorry, I just had to define what a stepdaughter was because I get confused when talking about these. But anyway, this is horrible. I shouldn't be laughing. This is just a terrible thing. And Musk has not spoken with Errol since this event. But I do think... I like that Walter includes some of these things because I do think this informs some of Musk's character. Like, this is what he observes from his father, who is, your father is one of your main role models for, like, how to behave in life. And if your father is just doing all these utterly horrible things and being manipulative and gaslighting everyone, like, some of that is going to sort of rub off on you, regardless of your intentions to live a perfect, good life.
This is one thing that is very interesting about the way Elon Musk communicates. So he's talking about his father, and he says, almost every evil thing you could possibly think of, he has done.
Yeah.
And so this is this is a separate point, in the same context, but you really can't take his words literally. It's like
Yeah.
clearly his father has not done almost every evil thing you could possibly think of. You could think of a ton of, evil things and obviously Errol is a terrible guy. Like he's very clearly a morally bereft human being,
Yeah.
but it is just, I think the way he frames that is just an interesting insight into the fact that you can't really take what Elon is saying verbatim. You kind of have to like translate it. It's like, okay, well, he always speaks in these extreme, in these extreme valences, I guess. And so like you basically be like, okay, well, yeah, he really doesn't like his father,
Right.
but that's not like a true statement.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this super superlative, exaggerated thing, which is, I think that's Elon's world. Like everything is extreme, everything is binary, and he moves throughout it, making these super extreme responses to super extreme events.
Yeah.
And that's just his world.
And it's a cycle, it's a self-repeating, or it's like a spiral where he does these super extreme things. He gets these extreme results, and then they cause further extreme
Right.
emotions in him.
Or they cause him to descend into dark, which is
Well,
what
that's and this is the thing. It's not all extremely positive, right? Or very little of it is extremely positive. It seems like.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what you were referring to at the outset of this episode. He sort of enters into this really rough patch, both, interpersonally, in his personal life, but also in his professional life. His Giga Nevada factory is in production hell. They're trying to, I think they're trying to get to 5,000 cars a week.
5,000 cars a week. Yeah, this is this golden number that he has laid out.
Yeah, and they're not even close. Like when they start, I want to say they're at like under 1,000 a week.
1,500 cars, yeah.
Oh, okay, 1,500. I knew it was something close to that. But I will say, Elon does have some good qualities, and I think these next few chapters, like, these are sort of discussing some of his good qualities.
Oh, yeah.
He's in this impossible situation, making a factory that's producing 1,500 of something a week and turning it into a factory that can produce 5,000 of something
More
a week.
than triple output. When everyone you're working with is saying that's not physically possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is an extremely hard problem. And he does a lot of classic Musk things. Like, he'll see something happening and he'll be like, do we need to be doing that?
Yeah.
And if people don't know exactly why they're doing it, he's like, stop doing that. And one example, I guess there was like this fiberglass strip on the sort of interior lower part of the car. And Elon is like, why is that fiberglass strip there? And one team of engineers said it was to reduce noise, and another team of engineers said it was to help with fire. And they weren't really sure. And so Musk is like, let's get rid of this.
Yeah. Because it was apparently the robot that applied it was very expensive and super slow. So he's like, wait a minute, like, can we just get rid of that?
Yeah, exactly.
No, and I don't know, like, I feel like, because we get onto this later, he has these commandments, which I think are really solid. Like, I think are really, and maybe we can, I don't know, maybe they're more, the algorithm, yeah, that's right. I don't know, was there anything in between, or should we just go right to the,
there was, I mean, I like these little anecdotes. There was a part about a misaligned arm, which I guess was slowing down production. And this engineer, Gage Coffin, I should have written better stuff in my notes, but I think if I recall the situation, this engineer, Gage Coffin, sort of stepped in and like fixed the arm, and then, stuff sort of started going smoothly. I like these tales about engineers fixing things. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention about this chapter was de-automation.
Yeah.
Which Musk slowly becomes, he sort of starts with everything automated, but he slowly becomes more and more of a proponent for de-automating. There's a robot doing something slowly, and he's like, let's just have people do that. And that's sort of what he does. Certain parts of his factory, which were completely robotic, he like gets rid of the robot and like hires people to do that instead.
I do want to just make one quick point about Gage Coffin. Mm-hmm. The story is actually, he's like gauge, like, did you do this? Like, did you make this? Like,
Yeah.
did you fucking do this? And then he just fires him on the spot. So it's more like,
Okay, sorry. My memory was that it was a positive story, but it's actually a horrible story.
no, he's like, these two other guys that he works with, Straubel and McNeil, Musk is like, they never want to fire anyone. And it's actually not fair to the other people who are doing their job well. Meanwhile, he's just like completely emotionally unstable and he's firing people at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad. I think I had this hopeful part of my memory that wanted that to be a positive story.
No, the only one that's ever allowed to solve a problem in these chapters is Elon.
Okay. I'll have to remember that. So anyway, this production hell continues. Tesla becomes the most shorted stock in history.
Yeah.
Elon has this insane pay package where basically he makes nothing unless he fixes these production issues and dramatically increases the share price. Mm-hmm. So this is yet another aspect of Elon's character. Like, he's willing to risk it for the biscuit. And so he just really puts everything on the line. He does this thing called walking the red, which is sort of what we're talking about, where I guess the red refers to these sirens that go off at the factory.
When they're like when production isn't flowing smoothly at a particular station, the lights turn red at that station.
Yeah. So this is more of the sort of the fiberglass story. Like, something will be red, he'll go over there, he'll be like, "What the hell's wrong?" And then he'll kind of, in the moment, fix things. There's a story about butyl patches. Did you write anything about this, Al?
Yeah,
I just have a. Oh, go ahead.
Go for it.
I only wrote butyl patches.
Well, basically, again, he's doing his thing. He's like trying to figure out like why do they have these butyl patches. There's, I didn't even exactly. I wasn't aware of like where in the manufacturing process they came in, but essentially, he finally finds the one guy who actually knows why they're applying butyl patches, and the guy's like, well, if it floods, then like these will prevent the floor mats from getting wet. And he's like, that's going to happen once every 10 years. Like, if it floods, like the floor mats will get wet. Like, that's fine. Like, that's insane that we're slowing down the production of all these cars just to avoid this once in 10-year occurrence.
Yeah. Nice. So that's a reasonable thing to get rid of.
Yeah.
He does a lot more de-automation. The plant gets to 3,500 a week, which is a massive accomplishment in itself, but still 1,500 off from the ultimate goal. But eventually, with all this walking the red and a lot of de-automation, a lot of improvements, they get to 5,000 a week. So they accomplish this crazy accomplishment.
The other thing that's kind of going on in the background is that these short sellers, they're not just passively watching from the sidelines. They're basically spying on the factory, and they have these drones, and they're getting all of this very sensitive data about the production. So they're like kind of like mustache twirlingly, giggling on the sideline, like they'll never do it.
Yeah,
Musk will never be able to make 5,000 cars a week.
I mean, all the stock market is a hyper-efficient information network. So
I suppose so, yeah. And so there's a big incentive for them to go and gather this this very private information. So
huge incentive. Though if you were a short seller at that time,
didn't go well for you.
It didn't go well for you. So do you have the algorithm written down? Because I just have the algorithm in a bullet point.
Yes, I have the algorithm. So first one, question every requirement. So like, and this is what we see throughout this section is if something is causing it to go slow, the process to go slower, the first thing Elon does is like, do we even need to do that thing? Like, do we even, like, why, who is saying we should do that? And we need to know who is, like, have the particular name of who is demanding that requirement. So you can go over and ask them about it, not just the legal department or the safety department.
Yeah.
It needs to be, there needs to be a name. And so, and so he goes on and says, like, requirements from smart people are the most dangerous because people are less likely to question them. Always do so, even if the requirement came from me. So
Yeah, which I like this. I think that's a really good part of the algorithm.
So 2 is delete any part or process you can.
Hell yeah.
You may have to add them back later, and if you do not end up adding back at least 10% of them, then you didn't delete enough.
That's so interesting because I feel like this is what he was trying to do with Doge, and there was a
Yeah.
lot of pushback.
Yeah, no, that's actually... It's funny because it does inform his approach with that. Where it's like,
Yeah.
if no one is making a stink about the fact that you removed at least some of these things, you weren't being aggressive enough with like the governmental agencies you're shutting down whole cloth. Or,
Yeah.
But, okay, so simplify and optimize. And so basically anything that's left over after you've deleted all possible ones, like you should then attempt to make them simpler if possible. Accelerate cycle time. Every process can be sped up. And then basically like make sure that you're not accelerating or like trying to accelerate a process that is actually unnecessary. Like you need to make sure that you're removing them if they're not necessary before you're optimizing them.
Right,
And I feel like this dovetails with, this is close. Oh, and finally you automate. So because apparently they wasted a lot of time and effort automating things that weren't even necessary.
Yeah.
This made me think of the Knuth quote that premature optimization is the root of all evil. Like
Yeah.
you should be doing things with humans at first because they're a general purpose machine. And then only once you have a very clear idea of what it is that they're supposed to do and that you actually need them to do it, then you automate.
This is why he wants Optimus, because he hates humans.
Yes. Yeah. No, he definitely has a lot of contempt for human workers, as evidenced by, and this is another fact that comes out of this chapter, is it's not all sunshine and rainbows. They have, 30% higher injury rates than the industry working on the factory because of,
Oh, dude, I must have glazed over that part. That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's what it says. It says like people were complaining that in his just maniacal push to get 5,000 cars a week that he's starting to cut corners, and we've seen this before, that he's like a little cavalier with these last minute fixes and what have you.
Yeah. Well, so maybe this is a good stopping point. We have Musk, enters into a dark period. He does a lot of crazy ventures, but then he emerges victorious over the short sellers, kind of like a GameStop moment.
Yes. So let's stop there, and so then I will see you next time. When are we going to be starting at chapter 47?
Yeah, that's what I have.
All right, great. So I will see you next time, starting with chapter 47.
See you next time, Matt.